Doug McKnight here at the FFF Museum. I'm going to tie you a all-purpose saltwater fly called the WhisperShrimp, and it's designed as a skinny water pattern for anything that'll eat a shrimp. That list is pretty long, but I've used it for redfish and bonefish and even had a few permit look at it and not eat it. It's basically an unweighted shrimp pattern that you can use in very skinny water and land very, very quietly to feeding fish. What we're going to do is put just a standard length saltwater hook in the vise. Usually tie this between sizes 2 and 6, and just going to attach some thread here and give this fly a base coat of thread. And the very first material that we're going to use is some craft fur or polar fiber. I'm going to tie a tan version. You can tie this in a variety of different colors. Tan's probably, well, the most popular color for a variety of bottom colors and occasions. And just going to cut off a pretty good chunk of polar fiber and pull out some of the long stuff and some of the short stuff to where I get a nice kind of even tuft. About like that is good. And this is going to be maybe about a shank and a half length, about like that. Go ahead and wind that guy on. Can use the excess as an underbody here. Just wind right over it. Just like that. The next thing we're going to do is take a couple of shrimp eyes. These come, you know, ready-made. You can buy them at fly shops or you can make your own. To make your own, all you do is take some hard saltwater monofilament, slip a glass bead on, singe the end so the bead doesn't fall off, and then dip them in some epoxy and let them dry. And these are basically what you end up with. Just a nice little shrimp or crab eye on a stick. And what we're going to do is tie those in kind of on the sides of the shank, maybe about a 1/4 inch long, and tie one on one side and then one on the other. Just like that. Give it a nice coat of thread using some tight wraps, and you can take these eyes and kind of bend that monofilament so they stick out, just like that. That's perfect. And then what I like to do from there is just use a little bit of Zap-A-Gap. That monofilament is slippery and you can pull those eyes out, so I like to give it a little coat of Zap-A-Gap. Just like that. Now the next step is we're going to use 2 different colors of some crystal flash. This is like an orange pearl. You could use a variety of different colors depending on what you want the fly to look like. What we're going to do with this orange is take a couple, maybe say 3 fibers, about 3 inches long, and double them over on the thread so you end up with a tuft of about 6, and tie those down, lining up with the end of the craft fur, about like that. Now we're going to take a black one, and we're going to take one single really long fiber and do the same thing with it. And these are going to end up looking like shrimp antenna, which are really long. If you've ever looked at a real shrimp, they've got these incredibly long antenna on there. So we're going to leave those really long, maybe about double the length of the polar fiber, about like that. Next, what we're going to do is we're going to take some Spanflex, and this is white Spanflex, and I'm going to color this up real quick with a marker. What we're going to do is take like a hot pink Sharpie marker and just mark the very ends of the Spanflex. And we're going to take like a kind of a gold colored one, and we're just going to give this some grizzly marks, just like that, maybe about 4 or 5 marks. And then you can flip, you'll want to flip those rubber legs over and do the same to the other side. Just like that. Then we're going to take those single colored rubber legs and make those about as long as the polar fiber, just like that, and tie them in. Trim off the excess, just like that. Next, we're going to take a rooster cape here, and I usually just use grizzly for this, but you can use different colors if you want to. And we're going to take a pair of small rooster neck feathers, just like that, and we're going to tie them in, one on each side, just like a Keys tarpon fly. You want the ends of the feather to end up about the same length as the end of the polar fiber. And just tie those in right on the sides. One on each side. Just like that. Next, we're going to take a single big rooster feather and tie it in tip first, right at the back of the fly. And we're going to make a little hackle collar right behind those eyes. Just stack those wraps as close as you can and wind out the entire feather. And tie that off. You can wind back over top of some of those wraps to kind of make them all lean back. And lastly, what we're going to do is take some of this Antron crystal chenille in tan. Cut off a couple inch piece. Kind of pull the fuzz out of one end and tie that back right to that hackle. Move your thread right up to the eye of the hook and then wrap this chenille, one wrap right in front of the other. Stack them up nice and tight and just make a nice little tapered body. Tie the chenille off. Whip finish that guy. A little bit of head cement. And you got a complete whisper shrimp that will catch a variety of fish that are spooky in real skinny water. This is a really, really good bonefish fly if you're having trouble with, you know, fish spooking on when the fly lands. This is a great choice, you know, in a foot of water or less. Also a really good choice for redfish and bigger sizes. I've caught tarpon on it. Really anything that'll eat a shrimp will eat this guy. And next time you find yourself in the skinny of skinny water, tie up a couple of these guys and put them on and try them.